out here in Mexico, having fun, and I think she's toast. Blew the inner belt, lost brakes, and then realized that my steering was also gone too, and before you know it, looked down and saw 275 on the coolant temp. So Alright, so basically what happened is we did a pull, and right after the pull I noticed that my brakes got kind of stiff, and my steering kind of got stiff as well, almost as if the power steering pump stopped working. I didn't put that information together yet at that point. So as you can see, we do the pull. You'll notice the coolant is at in the 180s, typical, as it should be. During the pull it goes up a little bit, it's typical. And then after the pull, and then right after is when I started noticing something was weird. And as you can see, that's the moment when the belt broke. The car just started climbing and climbing and climbing, and it climbed all the way to, well, as this recorded, 271, but I imagine it went higher than that because that's when it stopped logging. And my perfect tuning gauge over there said 275, which I think is the max, so not good. Alright, so disaster struck yesterday. Cobra left me on the side of the road underneath an overpass. Essentially what had happened was I was doing a pull on the Mexican interstate, and right after this pull, right after this run, I kind of heard like a noise, and I think the noise was like a splattering noise. So my first inclination when something like that happens, or really whenever I'm done with a pull or anything like that, is to kind of like right to left, look at the windshield, no coolant, look at the oil pressure gauge, it's got oil pressure, and kind of just glance over. And also I like to feel like the brake and stuff. I go to feel the brakes, and the brakes are like stiff, they're goofy. So I don't mess around when it comes to brakes. I thought that the brakes were a little weird, and I immediately got the car off the road. I'm going like 100 miles an hour. I got it pulled over. So pull over on the side of the interstate, and this is where I made my first mistake. I left the car running. I should have shut the car off, hopped out of it then, and took a glance around. But I was such in a hurry to like get under the hood and figure out what was wrong that I just hopped out and did it. We didn't notice anything weird at that time. It was dark on the side of the interstate, so we hop back in the car and we go to cruise it down, and then I realized that my steering is also pretty much like power steering is also gone. And then it clicked, and my dad said it just as I was thinking it. The inner belt's gone. And then I was like, oh wait a minute, the water pump isn't spinning if the inner belt is gone. I glance over at my gauge, and it's showing 275 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a little steamy. That's well over past the point of overheating. So as we're coming off of this exit ramp, I shut the car off and I coast it past the yield sign right under this overpass. So we lift the hood again and we take a closer look. Inner belt is shredded, and there's like coolant all over like the coolant reservoir area. You guys saw that video. So we're going to pull it apart, see the carnage, see what happened to the inner belt, why it did it. There's a good chance it lifted ahead because of how hot it got. But there's also a chance that it got hot just enough to where it like kind of bursted a bit of coolant out of the reservoir, and then a steam pocket kind of got up where that temperature sensor is and showed it was super freaking high when it really wasn't that high. There's a chance we might be able to put it back together and realize that it's not messed up, but if it did lift ahead, this motor is cooked and we have to fix it, which it's going to be funny if that's the cause of death when it wasn't a rod. Anyways, yeah, without further ado, let's dig into it. Alright, so we got the pulley bridge, and the old tensioner out, and so far the old tensioner looks to be fine. It does have a lot of the gunk in it, so I don't know if that's a red flag or not. All I know is that this car definitely has a leaking oil issue somewhere. And that's what happens, I guess, when you pump 15 pounds of boost into an aviator engine. Anyways, I did not necessarily see what is wrong. Alright, we're back the next day, and yeah, that with a much clearer mind. I'm not half asleep and really tired, so as you can see, it's actually harder to pick up on camera than it is in real life. This thing is filthy. It's disgusting. Like that down there is painted silver, and it's like black. So this motor is nasty, and because of it being nasty, everything else around it is nasty. So we are going to clean it. Don't do as I do. I don't recommend this. I'm going to just absolutely douse it in this simple greener here. Get it everywhere. Let that start working. Disconnect the battery terminal, and then I got a bucket of Dawn water. So we're back, and well, we're not super clean, but we're cleaner than we were. You can actually work on it now without getting disgusting. So we're going to put our new belt in. We didn't really find anything that screamed out at us, but we're just gonna go ahead and put in a new tensioner that I have, or not a new one, but another one that I had, and then we're gonna throw in a new belt. So, all right. And we're back. It's several days later. Just got the belt in, threw it on the car, and now we are going to see if we have head gasket problems just by like revving it up and everything. Just gonna once over everything real quick. Oh, yep. Yeah, that will touch that. So I'll have to tighten this bracket real quick. Not a big deal. Double check everything. Alright, I got the blower belt on. I'm gonna start it again. Typical. It would wait until I have the alternator hooked up to not want to start. So we're getting some raindrops because it's, you know, starting to rain, so I gotta do this quick, which makes this harder because, you know, a telltale sign of a bad head gasket would be you know, cooling on the windshield. But we're gonna go ahead and just give the car a little bit of boost, and afterwards, after that, we'll take a look at the reservoir and everything. Alright guys, Blake from the future here. Forgot to make an outro to this video, so as I'm editing it, I'm making one. So the car is running good, which is good. what you just saw was a couple days ago, if not a week ago. Cars were running great. The new intro that you just saw in the beginning of this video was earlier today, so shows you the car's running good. What's not good though is that you guys aren't joining my Discord. Link is in the description. A little bit of a social hub. Come chat with me, come chat with the boys, and get notifications on videos. And yeah, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Run it up for me. And yeah, it's like 2 in the morning. I'm tired. Have a good night.